Venezuela is the Zimbabwe of South America. And by what I mean by that is it's ruled by a particular dictator, and the dictator was supposedly a person who is a socialist, which is not necessarily bad. Now, don't get me wrong, some socialist countries suck. In fact, I have a little joke for you. What do you call the best socialist bank? You call it Rupt. Okay, so if you got that joke, congratulations, your IQ is over 70. But as I was saying, there are countries that are socialist that are actually doing very fairly well for themselves. In fact, here's the listing. There's China, there's Denmark, there's Finland, there's the Netherlands, there's Canada, which have universal health care, which if you think Cuba's the shit with universal health care, then try Canada. There's Sweden, there's Norway, there's Ireland, and there's also New Zealand, and okay, there's also Brussels. So all of these are socialist countries, and I would argue that basically socialism have become the fucking cooties of economics, and how just if you have the name socialism, then hey, they're automatically say you're a failure. But everybody has a bit of the socialist gene in them. America, we're doing what I like to call soft socialism, where, of course, we're trying to, we have our own economic system where people get Medicare, where we take care of our poor. All of these are socialist types of ideals. If it was just left purely to economics, then grandma would have to work a 9 to 5 just to live, or at least be taken care of by her children. And also, Finland is relatively a socialist country, and it's doing very well for themselves. It says it has a literacy rate of 100%. But you know what? South Korea also says that it has a literacy rate of 1%. But you can actually visit Finland, so I would take their word over South Korea, by the way. And I think that this person captured the overall idea of the point of the whole idea of socialism, which is the spreading of the wealth, which is something that the government does anyway, as in through taxes and also building the military, building welfare programs for the poor, and also the elderly, which is forms of spreading the wealth. But by the way, communism just outright fucking trash. If y'all want to know, you know, just the People's Republic of China. China is doing relatively well. It's just that monthly, I hear that monthly people only get $100 to $200 a month. So the average Chinese person is leaving under $2.50 a day, which is quite possibly China has a higher poverty rate than all of Africa. So these two dictators have relatively destroyed their whole society. As the leader of Zimbabwe, he of course gave the land, the farming land, the people who did not know how to tend and farm it. And of course, Mr. Hugo, he of course gave a staff of just cronies as a Supreme Court, and then they said that he's pretty much the supreme leader forever, and that he can do whatever he wants to stop the overall failing of his economy. And the reason why Venezuela is failing is because it mostly got over 90% of its revenues from oil. And during the recession, oil prices fell. So, of course, the economy fell. And all the bills aside failed too. So, Of course, he couldn't keep up with the payments, and of course, inflation hit. By the way, Venezuela has higher inflation than Zimbabwe. Like I was very fucking shocked. Like that's how weak their economy is. Zimbabwe looks like paradise compared to Venezuela when it comes to overall economics and inflation. And I did this video to tell you that when it comes to names for economies and economic beliefs, it really fucking doesn't matter. You can call it capitalism, socialism, as long as you don't really call it communism, because communism is overall we take all your shit and then we keep it for ourselves. And overall, the idea of why socialism will fail, well, socialism haven't really failed when it comes to the overall rich countries who actually know and have competent leadership and have multiple parties to actually kind of soften the core radicals who really want to be dictators in the whole party as a whole, like they have in Europe. Socialism, if it's led towards the right leadership, can actually succeed and be successful in actually helping people. Communism, not so much. And capitalism is pretty much the economics of the socialist, psychopath, I should say, sociopath and psychopath. As basically, if you have any failures like the huge poverty in America, you can overall blame that on people being lazy or people not being smart enough to actually get money. It's kind of like Darwin economics. Why socialism and communism is basically like justice economics, basically. It's just purely human. It's pretty much the tear shedder economics. And if people fail in those types of economics, then people will say, oh shit, socialism fails. The whole idea of spreading the wealth around and giving people shit will overall fail. Well, all economics are basically socialist at this point. I mean, capitalism in its purest form is Darwin economics, and basically, if you want a pure capitalist country, then it would kind of look like a libertarian paradise where we don't pay shit, where we allow our elderly to kind of just roam around and try to earn food, where we allow our people with disabilities, like in a wheelchair and shit like that, probably do not have public access to like buses and shit like that. And I guess they have to lean on their family for them to take care of them. And that's pretty much a purified capitalist dream. Like, but overall, doing more than that, feeding into like the whole social welfare system is pretty much basically socialist. And even President Ronald Reagan had to say something about that.
One of the traditional methods of imposing statism or socialism on a people has been by way of medicine. It's very easy to disguise a medical program as a humanitarian project. Most people are a little reluctant to oppose anything that suggests medical care for people who possibly can't afford it. Now, the American people, if you put it to them about socialized medicine and gave them a chance to choose, would unhesitatingly vote against it. We had an example of this under the Truman administration. It was proposed that we have a compulsory health insurance program for all people in the United States, and of course, the American people unhesitatingly rejected this. So, with the American people on record as not wanting socialized medicine, Congressman Farrand introduced the Farrand Bill. This was the idea that all people of Social Security age should be brought under a program of compulsory health insurance. Now, this would not only be our senior citizens, this would be the dependents and those who are disabled. This would be young people if they are dependents of someone eligible for Social Security. Now, Congressman Farrand brought the program out on that idea of just for that particular group of people. But Congressman Ferrand was subscribing to this foot in the door philosophy because he said, if we can only break through and get our foot inside the door, then we can expand the program after that. Walter Reuther said, it's no secret that the United Automobile Workers is officially on record as backing a program of national health insurance. And by national health insurance, he meant socialized medicine for every American. Well, let's see what the socialists themselves had to say about it. They say, once the Ferrand bill is passed, this nation will be provided with a mechanism for socialized medicine capable of indefinite expansion in every direction until it includes the entire population.
Now, the summary of this video is to tell you that all economics will eventually fail. Economics is like a river. It has its ups and downs. And no economics will guarantee you a lucky ride through preservation in the promised land of having a good home and a steady job. All economics, whether it's capitalism, socialism, uh, egalitarianism, communism, all types of shit. Just overall, and the overall repeal of regulations. Overall, all of it will lead you towards a bumpy road of uncertainty due to some type of stuff that is out of your hand. Venezuela also had a very dry season, causing the crops to fail. So that also happened too. So they had oil that was going down, oil prices going down, crops failing, and also a dictatorial government. And hey, that really what screwed them overall in the end. And it's really sad to see this happen to them. My prayers are going to Venezuela, and I wish all of you have a nice day. And sorry if I rambled throughout this video, and I hope you get something out of this video, and that's all I like to say. All right, well, have a nice day, man.